What's going on YouTube? So not long ago, Cadillac launched and we reviewed the brand new Cadillac CT5. But Cadillac was not done with new sedans for 2020 yet, since they are now introducing this all-new CT4. It is the new entry point into the Cadillac brand and is designed to go head-to-head with the likes of the Audi A3, BMW 2 Series, and Mercedes A-Class. But should the Germans be worried? Let's go ahead and find out. So getting started here with the exterior design, I have to say my first impressions of this package are very positive, since that extra length and the rear wheel drive definitely give it better proportions than the sometimes frumpy front wheel drive competition. But focusing in here on the front design specifically, what you'll notice is this typical Cadillac grille, of course, is the newest design. And if you were to choose the sport trim level, this silver part, this will be blacked out, and you will have larger intakes down here on the bottom and right here. And as far as the headlights, these are, go someplace else. These are going to be the standard full LED headlights with that signature LED daytime running light that all Cadillacs have. However, the turn signal is halogen and there are no fog lights. Now hopping down here to the wheels, of course you have different varieties for the different trim levels, starting at a 17-inch alloy on the luxury model, 18-inch alloys here on the premium luxury as well as the sport, and then those top two trim levels can also option on a 19-inch alloy if you prefer. And then jumping up here to your mirrors, of course they do have standard heating. Both of the top two trim levels do also have driver's side auto dimming. However, blind spot monitoring is going to be optional on those top two trim levels.
So here at the side, before we get to the rear of this XT4, I do kind of want to talk about how this vehicle is sized as compared to some of its competition. So it's going to come in at 187 inches in length, which does actually put it as about the average for the class above, like the BMW 3 Series. However, it still is around 5 inches shorter than the XT5. And then walking around to this CT4's rear design, I have to say that the front kind of looks like the CT5, but here at the rear, it's definitely very distinct looking. And as far as your feature set is concerned, all of the models are gonna get these fully LED taillights, which is a nice touch. And you will also all get these dual exhaust pipes down at the bottom. And if you opt for that sport trim, you are gonna get a few exclusive touches, a spoiler up top, as well as the clear taillight lenses and blackout trim all throughout the model. Now, as far as the safety systems are concerned, I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed with this new CT4, since no safety systems are standard or even available at all on the luxury trim. If you go for the premium luxury and sport, you will have standard forward emergency braking, and then the option of adding on two packages that will throw in lane keeping assist, blind spot monitoring, auto high beam headlights, as well as full speed auto braking, adaptive cruise, and rear auto braking. It's also worth noting that Super Cruise will be offered later in the year. Well guys, that sums up the exterior styling of this new CT4. So now let's go ahead and hop on the inside before we take it out on the road.
So just like with the CT5, the CT4 does come with Cadillac's new key fob design, as well as standard smart entry and standard remote start. Now getting inside the vehicle itself, it does not have the new door handle design like the CT5, so you will have to press the button to unlock. And checking out the cabin. You're gonna hear me talk about the CT5 quite a bit because they do bear a very strong resemblance to each other inside of this cabin. Now talking about your different color and material options, what you'll be looking at is standard leatherette on your luxury and sport trims, and then real leather standard on this premium luxury or optional on the sport. And then as far as your color options, you have jet black or beige options for the luxury, jet black, beige, or cinnamon options for the premium luxury, and then the sport trim has jet black or an optional sangria color. Now turning over here to the door trim, it is very nicely appointed. You'll find leatherette that goes all through this armrest area as well as above it. Along the top here, we also have a soft touch plastic with a color contrasting stitching detail as well as the typical aluminum door handle. As far as memory seating, that's going to be standard on all but the base trim level. And then you'll notice your front two windows are one touch auto up and down. And then as far as the seats, you're going to have quite a few ways of adjustment. Most of the models are going to have this 12-way power adjusting seat. However, you can go all the way up to 18 ways and have optional massaging. And then like I already mentioned, this is the real leather since this is the premium luxury model. And it definitely has a really nice aesthetic with the different textures and the nice little Cadillac flourish right there. Now, like I already mentioned, there are a lot of similarities to the CT5 inside of this cabin, and materials are included within that. So across your upper dashboard, this is all going to be a soft touch plastic with a nice color contrast stitching detail that comes down from the top. Moving down here, we have hard touch plastic, but down here at the bottom part, this is covered in a padded leatherette for your knee to bump against, and you also have some real aluminum trim through here. Now, of course, standard across all models is going to be push button start. And when you press that, you will be greeted by the standard 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine, as well as the brand new startup tone for Cadillac. Now, as far as the gauges themselves, what you are looking at is the basic setup with the smaller multi-function display. However, you can actually get an 8-inch display to take up this entire middle area if you choose the technology package. And when you do that, you will also get a head-up display. Now, as far as the steering, of course, it is electric power assisted steering, and you do have a nice leather wrap steering wheel across every model. On the sport trim, it does look a little bit different. However, it will always be manual tilt and telescoping, and then you can also option on heating if you choose the climate package. Alright, so now let's go ahead and talk about interior storage. Now, this actually opens up to the side, and once we lift it up here, you will see there's actually quite a lot of space, a lot more than I expect for this class, and it is all nice and felt lined. But let's put it to the real test here. Let's get out our coupons. Looks like they fit quite nicely when you fold them in half. Like I said, this is actually more than I expect to find in a vehicle of this size. Now, over here we've got a USB Type-C and a USB Type-A. You also have a little slot here to stick your phone. However, if you want to use the charging ability, that's actually going to be up here, and that comes when you choose to have the Bose sound system. Now, coming back here to the shifter, you'll notice this is actually a traditional shifter, unlike the electronic one that's in most other new Cadillacs. So you pull back for drive, pull back once again if you want to activate the manual mode, and you will find standard paddle shifters across the range. Heading into reverse, you'll find a nice looking backup camera. This is the high definition version, so as you can see, it's very clear and looks very nice. You also have dynamic grid lines as well as parking sensors, but there is not a 360 degree option, unlike on the CT5. Now, off on this side of the steering wheel, that's where you'll find your electronic parking brake. And then over here, you'll find your brake hold function, as well as the button to turn on and off your auto start stop and change your drive modes. And then moving up above that, this is where you'll find your climate control setup. So you actually have physical buttons that run basically across the entire dashboard here. Very simple to use, and they are made of nice aluminum. You can also make adjustments up there into the display if you prefer to do that for some reason. And then down below here, you'll find 3-stage heated seats. These are actually going to be optional on every single trim level, as well as ventilation. A lot of times they are packaged together. Alright, so now we are up here at our audio system. So this is a pretty nicely equipped example. So we have the optional 14 speaker Bose premium surround sound system. So let's go ahead and take a sample of that. Yeah, I have to say, sound quality in this system is superb, and I like that they went ahead and threw in the metal speaker grills. Okay, so now let's return back over here to this display. This is actually the only display available on the CT4. It is 8 inches, and it does run the newest Q software. So flipping through some of the stuff here, you'll notice what we do have the navigation system that is optional and comes with the audio system that I already mentioned. Performance of this system is definitely very snappy. You will also find both Android Auto and Apple CarPlay standard across the board. Now up above that, you will find an auto dimming mirror with the new frameless design on all but the very base model, as well as HomeLink universal remotes. But one thing I am surprised to find that missing on this specific example is a moonroof. Even though this is $45,000, we don't actually have the moonroof, but of course it is available as an extra cost option.
Now hopping around in the rear seats of this all-new CT4. Now obviously the rear seats are normally not a strong suit of anything in this class, and the CT4 is really no exception. It's going to be a little bit small in terms of space, especially for 4 adults, but what you're looking at is going to be 33 inches of rear legroom and 38 inches of rear headroom, which does place it pretty much in line with most of the competition like the Mercedes A-Class. However, it is a little bit less than the BMW 2 Series. Now, as far as behind rear seating position, I have probably 4 inches of rear leg room, and my feet can slide up under the seat, so it's definitely not very uncomfortable, but it's just not super spacious. And as far as your feature set, you are going to have standard vents here in the center, as well as a 12-volt power outlet below that. Heated rear seats are not going to be offered on the CT4, and if you fold down the armrest, you do have cup holders inside, as well as a nice wide armrest. Now walking up to the trunk, in order to open it, all you have to do is locate the button under the lid, and it does open right up. And once inside, you're going to find 10.7 cubic feet of space in this CT4, which does position it right in the middle of the competition. It's quite a bit larger than the Mercedes A-Class and quite a bit smaller than the BMW 2 Series, but it's really not too bad overall. And as far as how Cadillac has finished it back here, we do have a carpeting along the floor, and if I lift it up, you do have a tiny bit of storage up under the floor, and on each side you have little cubbies as well as covered cargo hinges. Now over here at your passenger seat, you do actually have the same adjustment as the driver, which is really quite nice for a vehicle in this class. And as far as the glove box is concerned, it's actually surprisingly large for a vehicle in this segment. You have a nice carpeting along the bottom, and we can fit all of our coupons, our Burger King, our McDonald's, our Rally coupons. We can fit them all up in there, and you could actually fit quite a big stack in there. And up top, we do have a sun visor with a mirror and LED lighting, and it does also detach as well as extend.
First taking off here in the CT4, we have the standard 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. I have to say, I'm pretty impressed. Yeah. It really has a spunky feel to it. You know, we're just in the normal mode right now. Like I said, this is the base engine, Yeah, when you get on it, it feels pretty quick. Definitely a free revving engine as well. Like, it really revs up and gets you going. So you can tell right off the bat that, you know, Cadillac has focused on, you know, kind of being a sporty option here in this class.
Yeah. You know, and this is actually the exact same engine that comes standard in the CT5. So they actually threw in like a class above engine into the CT4, which is certainly welcome in this segment.
All right, and I didn't mention the actual horsepower figures yet. That's going to be 237 horsepower and
258 pound-feet of torque. And that is the standard engine option. You do actually have an optional engine that you can get on the premium luxury, which is this trim here. You can get a 2.7 liter twin turbo 4-cylinder, which has a whopping 310 pound-feet horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. So that's certainly a very powerful option if you want to go for that more powerful engine.
And that's shared with the CT4V.
Correct.
Which we will be sampling as soon as we can get our hands on one. Definitely excited about that. So look forward to that when they get to dealerships.
Wow. I'm really impressed with this little guy. I remember really liking this engine in the CT5, and of course this is even a smaller vehicle, so certainly way better than a lot of the rivals. The Mercedes A-Class, as a matter of fact, comes with like a 180 horsepower engine, which is, you know, adequate, but this definitely has a nice feel to it.
Definitely.
Just kind of getting up to speed here, we need to talk about the ride quality for the CT4. And I have to say I'm pretty impressed just kind of cruising along here. We're going around 40 miles an hour. And it really does have a very luxurious ride to it. It's definitely on the sportier end of the segment, like Drew was mentioning. You can tell that Cadillac has really focused more on the sports side of things, but that's not to say that it's rough or anything, because you hit a pothole and you really can't, there's not much intrusion inside the cabin. And then when we do get up to speed here, I will go ahead and give you a sound level reading, and we'll see how it compares to some of its rivals.
Yeah, it definitely feels comfortable.
And now we're up to speed. We're going around 50 miles an hour, so we'll see how it is. Very impressive. It looks like we're sitting around 53 decibels, which is one of the lower ratings that we've ever gotten. And, you know, I have to say, it just really does have a very quiet cabin. For those of you concerned about that, it definitely blends the sport and luxury side of things pretty well.
And the other thing I really like about this car, and has got to be today's slam dunk, is just the driving dynamics overall, and especially in the handling. You can definitely tell that Cadillac paid a lot of attention here. I mean, the steering here is really fast responding. It feels great. When you go around a corner, everything feels really balanced. Like I said, it has a really solid feel, and it's just very enjoyable to toss around corners. You know, and I think that comes back to being a rear drive vehicle. You know, this has very similar foundation as the ATS, which was, you know, lauded as a very nice vehicle, and you know, that does carry on with the CT4.
And since he talked about the air ball, the slam dunk, I will go ahead and talk about the air ball. We talked about this. It was a little harder to pinpoint one for this vehicle, but we thought really the packaging is a little bit of an issue with the CT4. As you'll notice, we don't have a moonroof. The luxury model can't really get any of the safety systems. There's just a few issues in terms of the packaging. You have to buy a lot of different high-price packages to get.
They spread the features. They're kind of randomly assorted.
Yeah.
so far I haven't talked about the transmission. I think that's actually a good thing because, you know, it's actually a very good transmission.
Yep.
You know, and you don't really notice it too much. On this specific example, it's an 8-speed automatic transmission when paired with the 2-liter that most people will buy. However, if you do choose to get that 2.7-liter version, that's going to come with a 10-speed automatic instead.
Yeah. And then wrapping us up here, as far as your drivetrains, it's going to be rear-wheel drive standard, optional all-wheel drive. And then as far as your fuel economies are concerned, the 2-liter rear drive is 23 city, 34 highway, 27 combined. If you go for all-wheel drive, it drops it down 1 combined. The 2.7-liter engine is going to be 24 for rear-wheel drive combined, and then 23 for all-wheel drive.
So overall, Cadillac's strategy with this CT4 was basically to give you more than what you expect in this class of vehicle. And getting behind the wheel, that definitely carries over to the driving dynamics, especially. Being in a class where most of the competitors are front-wheel drive based, this having that larger body, rear-wheel drive, you know, and the Alpha chassis, which, you know, Cadillac has really worked hard to tune. It really makes it a very enjoyable car to drive, and I think that really makes it stand out in the segment. Alrighty, so now let's go ahead and discuss the pricing for this new CT4. So for these MSRPs, this is going to be for the rear-wheel drive model, and destination is not included. So for the luxury, it's going to be $33,990. The premium luxury is $38,490, and then you have the sport, which is $39,590. And then as far as how this one is equipped, we have the premium luxury, and we also have optional all-wheel drive for $2,000, navigation with audio system $1,700. Optional paint for $1,225, climate package $1,200, driver awareness plus package $800, and then you add the destination charge of $995 to get this particular model as equipped at $45,415, which is a pretty good price point. It's roughly in line with what Mercedes has to offer with the A-Class and the BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe, and it's definitely something worth taking a look at since this is a new product from Cadillac. Well guys, we've enjoyed watching this in-depth look at the all-new 2020 Cadillac CT4. We really appreciate you watching, and if you made it this far in the video, hopefully that means you enjoyed at least a little bit, so be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.